Yeah. We back. You Can't Play Boxing podcast. How everybody been doing, man? We took off last week due to Thanksgiving. Kind of got a second to recharge and, dive into a few things. But it was a lot of things going on last week. Number one, how was y'all Thanksgiving, man? Y'all had enough turkey? Y'all had enough dressing, stuffing, depending on your ethnicity, you know what I'm saying? Sweet potato pie, y'all do that? Yo, how was y'all Thanksgiving? Me personally, I had a good Thanksgiving. I had a couple of, couple people came in town for Thanksgiving. Enjoyed that with my fam. What else, man? Yeah. Crazy thing happened. Before I even get into that, man, I'm all over the place. I've been out for a week and I just kind of forgot the flow of the show. So number one, check us out on Instagram. That's at You Can't Play Boxing. That's UCANTPLAYBOXING. Also check us out on our YouTube. That's You Can't Play Boxing. Check us out on our website. That's can'tplayboxing.com. Check us out on our Twitter. That's You Can't Play Boxing. And, you can hit us up on all those places. So, yeah, I was just about to tell you about my Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was cool. Had a good time. The day after Thanksgiving, had a real crazy encounter I wasn't expecting. So, I live out in the Bay Area and, I frequently jog or run at least 5 miles a day I try to do. So, I jog and, walk in my neighborhood, whatever. So I do this all the time, right? And so I had just did my 5 miles. I was just turning around. No, I did 4 miles. So I had 1 more mile to go. But I was turning around and kind of head home or whatever. So, I'm on the sidewalk in my neighborhood, it's typically, it's a multicultural neighborhood. You got a lot of Indian people, you got a lot of Asian people, not that it matters. You got a lot of, white people, and a few black people, you don't see too many black people though. And if you don't know, I'm black. So, typically, man, when I see somebody in the neighborhood and they black, I at least try to acknowledge them, you know what I'm saying? Not that I don't acknowledge anybody else, but typically when it's someone black, I try to make eye contact with them, give them a head nod, sign, say what's up, something like that. So, I was jogging, whatever, and I was actually walking at this time, so I'm not gonna lie, I was walking at the time. And I see a young black dude, or a dude at least in his 30s probably, I'm like, okay, this, I don't see too many of us out here, so I try to, make eye contact, and I'm trying to make eye contact. I look at him like, hey, bro, this is like Andre Ward. And I was like, hey, you Andre Ward? He's like, yeah. So I came across Andre Ward in my neighborhood, man. I sat there and chopped it up with him for a couple of minutes. He was real nice. I told him about the podcast. I didn't ask him to be on. I guess I should have probably asked him to be on, but I talked about my podcast for a second. I even talked about the Kovalev fight. I was like, yeah, man, I rewatched that first Kovalev fight you had. And he was like, yeah, the fight could have went either way, what he's always said about the fight. And I was like, yeah, it could have went either way, but I think you won. And even when I was talking about the fight, I said, I could tell in the 4th or 5th round, you started to kind of have your front foot taking advantage of the real estate, and you kind of started exerting the pressure on him, and I can kind of see the subtle change. And he just kind of smiled at the time, you know what I'm saying? But he was real cool. I told him like I said before, I think Dre is probably one of the top 5 fighters in the last 20 years for sure. future Hall of Famer. And, it's crazy that, I ran across him just jogging and walking in my neighborhood. So we took a quick flick. I'll put the flick up on the Instagram. I put it on my personal Instagram, but I didn't put it on You Can't Play Boxing. So, I can check that out, too. But, yeah, real nice dude. Yeah, what can you say, man? Like, that was hella trippy, I just walk in my neighborhood all the time, and then I come across like a future Hall of Famer just walking on the sidewalk towards me, so real trippy. But after that too, we had some crazy fights this past weekend. Now, I know a lot of y'all, it's Wednesday, so I know a lot of y'all have already seen this, so I'm not going to take up too much time. But, we had the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. excuse me, versus Roy Jones Jr. Fight pay-per-view. And on the undercard, they had a fight that was interesting to me, and it was interesting to a lot of people. You had Jake Paul. And if you don't know Jake Paul, this is a YouTube guy. But he's been boxing like over the last year or two. He's been Sugar Shane Mosley was training him at one point. I know he beat what's the guy, KSI, he beat him or whatever. And he's been diving into boxing. And then you had Nate Robinson, from the NBA. Nate Robinson played for my New York Knicks back in the day. He played for the Chicago Bulls, a real good basketball player. Nate Robinson's probably like 5'11", short basketball player, but he's stocky, strong like a motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? So Logan Paul and Jay, just kind of put some of the 2020 racial gasoline on it. People were like, man, Logan Paul, the white dude, and Nate Robinson, he got to do it for the African culture, you know what I'm saying? So it was a fight that I was interested in, and I didn't buy the pay-per-view, but I was able to kind of catch it on people's social media live stories or whatever. So I saw the entire fight. First round, man, it looked like Nate Robinson was rushing him. You know what I'm saying? He was being very aggressive, but he wasn't doing it in a controlled manner. You know what I'm saying? He was making it uncomfortable for Logan Paul or for Jake Paul, whichever one. I know they're brothers or whatever. Jake Paul. He was making it uncomfortable for him, but it wasn't a lot of technique to it, you know what I'm saying? But he was making it uncomfortable. And first round, he was kind of making it to where Jake Paul couldn't really get in his rhythm, But that second round, bro. And also another side note, bro, they had Snoop Dogg on the commentary. Snoop, man, he can do fucking anything. Snoop made the whole fucking broadcast. That he was the highlight of the shit. But second round, man, Logan Paul, like I said, he been trained, you know what I'm saying? He started to get a little distance in between himself where he can get his shots off. And man, he started tagging Nate. He knocked Nate down the first time. Nate was under the ropes. Nate looked just like Martin Lawrence when he was fighting Tommy Hearns. He was like, what the fuck did I get myself into? And then, Nate got up. Snoop was already singing church hymns at the time. Logan Paul, sorry, all these motherfuckers mix me up. Jake Paul hit Nate Robinson with something that had Snoop was like, oh my God, it sounded like a grandma. And man, Nate Robinson was out there. He was out there. He was asleep. And, I know a lot of people, it was funny to a lot of people. And, it is, we're supposed to get our entertainment, especially going through 2020, man. It's been a hell of a year for all of us, you know what I'm saying? So, definitely, we got to get our laugh on a little bit. But I do want to, it's an example of how much I respect people that get in the boxing ring. When you get in the boxing ring, bro, it's just you and that opponent, you know what I'm saying? You got to know where to run. You can't tag in somebody. You can't say, I want a timeout. It's just you and that person. And, Nate had the guts to get in there. So I want to salute Nate Robinson for doing that. And boxing is a hard sport. It's a hard sport, you know what I'm saying? It's not a sport for the weak. And I'm not saying he was weak. It's just a lot of little nuances with the sport, you know what I'm saying? Your footwork got to be right. Your defense got to be right. You got to know how to jab. You got to put in the work in the ring. You got to do a spar. It's just a lot comes with it. And then, if you don't do some of those things, shit, you get embarrassed out there on a nationwide, national platform, you know what I'm saying? So, but number one, I want to salute Nate Robinson. He had the guts to do what a lot of people wouldn't do. Maybe this is the end of the road for him. Maybe he trained some more and he come back to it, but I want to salute to him. I know it's all fun and games. I was laughing at some of those memes too, because those memes was crazy as hell. But I do want to give a salute to Nate Robinson for getting in there. And, I know with Jake Paul, I think they're talking about fighting Conor McGregor. It's just a lot of bullshit, whatever. I don't really follow the celebrity boxing too much, but that was entertaining. So that was on the undercard, and the main event was, was Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones. Now, the main reason I didn't purchase this fight because, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, they're two of the best talents, that we've had to come through boxing in the last 40 years. No doubt about that, for sure. However, Mike Tyson is 54. Roy Jones is 51. I don't want to see two granddaddies in the ring fighting, bruh. I just didn't want to see that. That's not something I'm going to pay my money for because, they put their work in, but I want to see fighters in their prime. And I knew, what I'm saying, it wasn't going to be high-level boxing. I wasn't going to pay $50 for it. But salute to them for getting their money. I'm not mad at anybody for getting their money while they can. So I watched a little bit of the fight on social media. I watched the first 4 or 5 rounds, and it kind of was expected. Mike was being aggressive. Roy, I think, got hit with a body punch, and it kind of changed his thought pattern. He's like, okay, he still got some power. Maybe I need to tie up with this dude. I don't need to be trying to go toe-to-toe for this dude. So Roy was trying to do the stick and move, but, you're 51. You don't have the same footwork to get out of there. So there's a lot of tying up. There's a lot of, a lot of tying up and hugging by Roy, But, for the people who paid for the fight, they got to see that. Me personally, like I said, that's nothing against those two hell of a fighters, Hall of Famers. It's just not something that I wanted to see and pay my money for. But salute to them. I think, ultimately, they had unofficial scores. I think Chad Dawson was one and a couple other guest judges. But they scored it a draw, even though it's an exhibition fight. And I think, the word is Mike Tyson could be facing Evander Holyfield in another one of these exhibition fights coming up soon. And, I don't think I'll purchase it. I may watch it. But yeah, it's just, it's, but I get the whole nostalgia, want to see that, so I'm not hating on anybody who purchased it. And who knows, I might even purchase it next time myself. But I know that was a big news, you know what I'm saying, and over the weekend when it comes to boxing, and I want to, just kind of touch on it and give my little breakdown. But what we're going to do real quick, we're going to take a quick break, man, and we're going to talk about the big fight this weekend, which I am going to purchase. Wish I could be down in Dallas for the fight, but you're going to have Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia. We're going to preview the fight. Listen to this commercial break. We'll be back in 1 minute. What's up? It's that time of the show where we kind of give a shout out to our sponsors. The sponsor today is Anchor. Anchor is everything you need to create your own podcast. You can use Anchor to distribute your show. They'll kind of get it out for you. And all you have to do is do it from your cell phone or your microphone, however you want to do it. But if you want to get your voice out there, if you want to talk to the people, there's no better place to do it than Anchor. So download the app Anchor or go to their website, anchor.com. It'll distribute your podcast on all platforms. So again, Anchor. Yeah. Back. You Can't Play Boxing podcast. Going to be in the main segment. In this segment, bro, we're going to talk about the big fight this weekend. Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia. Fight taking place in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, right outside of Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Man, this fight is going to be interesting. Let's kind of break it down a little bit, though. So one of the things for this fight, man, you got Errol Spence, first fight since September of last year, so almost 15 months. Last time he was in the ring, he beat Sean Porter. Tough fight. Won it on my scorecard. He won it 115-113. 115-112 actually. That's why I had it because of the knockdown. And Errol Spence, one of the best fighters in boxing. Like, that's no question. However, Errol Spence, after the fight with Sean Porter, Errol Spence was in a life-altering car accident where he was ejected from his, I think it was Ferrari or whatever, I think he was going like 80, 90 miles per hour. It was at a high speed. Luckily for everybody involved, you know what I'm saying, Errol Spence survived the car accident. He's going through rehab. He was in hospital for a while. And this is going to be his first fight since that accident. And he's facing Danny Garcia, which is not really the easiest fight when you haven't been in the ring for 15 months, and you're coming off a major car accident that you had. I mean, Danny Garcia, bro, he 36-2, former champion. Only lost to Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, and both of those fights were close fights. And I will say this. Errol Spence, he chose a tough fight to come back into. This fight was supposed to happen January 2020, yeah. Because after that Sean Porter fight, Danny Garcia came in the ring and was like, hey, I want to fight you, so it was already lined up to fight Danny Garcia at that time, but it's been postponed about 11 months. So I will say that Errol Spence, a lot of fighters would have said, I want to fight a tune-up fight. Because me personally, a fight against Andre Berto or something like that would have been an easier fight to kind of get the ring rust off. But he being a true warrior, and he taking a challenge, And Danny Garcia is a fighter who's technically sound, and he can expose you if you're not on your A game. So I do think this fight is going to be very interesting because I think it's going to take Errol Spence a few rounds to get himself together. And I think Danny Garcia is technically sound enough where he's going to be able to take advantage of a few things. So I wouldn't be surprised after the first 5 or 6 rounds of this fight that Danny Garcia may be up 4 rounds to 2. I do think that in the second half of the fight, Errol Spence kind of had the ring rust shaken off. I think he'll kind of exert some of his power and his, ferociousness that he had before. And I think, my prediction is that Errol Spence wins it 115, 113. I don't think Danny Garcia is going to do a lot to put himself in a position to get dropped. He has a real good chin. But I do think he's going to make it difficult for Errol Spence. I wouldn't be surprised if even Danny Garcia makes it as wins this fight or makes it as a draw, because this is a tough fighter to fight coming off a 15-month hiatus, you know what I'm saying? So, it's a tough one. And I think one of the things about Danny Garcia is that he got that left hook. And Errol Spence, he's ferocious, but it's just something about this fight where I think it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight. So, again, I'm looking forward to it. I think all things being equal, if Errol Spence wasn't coming off a big hiatus and a life-changing car accident, I think Errol Spence wins it. I think the best of Errol Spence is better than the best of Danny Garcia. However, I don't think you're going to get Errol Spence at his A game, being that he hadn't fought in 15 months. And I think, depending on what version we get of Errol Spence, if Danny Garcia is at his A game, it's going to be tough. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see how Errol Spence bounces back. And, if he wins, there's only a couple fights to make. Really, it's the Manny Pacquiao fight or a Bud Crawford fight. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be on pay-per-view on Fox Sports. And, we're going to tap in and see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So, this episode right here, we're going to bring it to a close. I'm just getting back in the swing of things too. Just taking off a week. Sometimes it takes me a while to get my legs under me, but hopefully y'all enjoy this episode. Again, I want to thank everybody for the growth and listenership that we've been having. I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted at all. You know what I'm saying? Much love to y'all. Thank y'all for fucking with me. Again, if you want to reach us on social media, you can reach me on Instagram at You Can't Play Boxing. That's UCANTPLAYBOXING. If you want to reach me on Twitter, it's You Can't Play Boxing. On YouTube, it's You Can't Play Boxing. On the website, it's can'tplayboxing.com. And until next week, we're going to be back. We're going to recap the fight this weekend and see how everything landed. But until next time, y'all, peace.